Oh my goodness, look at this monster. There is only one way to measure a fish properly, and chances are you're doing it wrong, because basically everybody does it wrong. The only angler that knows how to measure fish properly is a tournament walleye fisherman. Musky guys are okay, bass guys are clueless, and everybody else on the internet is somewhere beyond clueless. So step one, you need an actual bump board. Using a soft tape to wrap around the fish and guess where everything lines up doesn't work. Using your hand spans to measure a 50-inch pike, that ain't it, bro. You need an actual 90-degree bend to press that fish's jaw against and remove all the guesswork of whether it's lined up with the zero line or not. And for the purposes of this video and the Uncut Angling versus Everybody tournament, it needs to be a mass-produced commercial-grade board, ideally with engravings or stamped prints on there so that we know it's legit. Stickers can shrink or change over time. Step two is press the fish's mouth closed against the bump. That is the point of the bump, to make a consistent measurement and establish that zero line. Otherwise, without the bump, you've got a fish's mouth which is hinged, especially the lower jaw, especially a bass or a crappie. And when you open that mouth, it does get longer. It does like kind of waver out in no man's land, so you have to have the mouth closed for a consistent, repeatable measurement. Even looking at this foam fish, you can see with an open mouth it's touching the line, then as soon as I close this mouth, suddenly we're a 1/4 inch away from touching the bump. Open the mouth, touch the bump. Close the mouth, 1/4 inch away. Also, without a mouth pressed against a bump board, it's very difficult with perspective, whether you're taking a picture or just eyeballing it, to tell if you've established that zero line. With our foam walleye here, I'm over top of it. Let's pretend I'm taking a picture and I look over. Yes, it appears that the mouth is at the zero line, but if I go right over top of it, I'm actually an inch away from being at zero. And that is why it is so important that we have the mouth pressed against a bump board for perspective here. Step three is you have to pinch or swing the tail. It doesn't matter what your local regulations say, although you have to follow those regulations for measuring fish to follow the law. But for an accurate measurement, regardless of that, regardless of what anyone on the internet with an opinion says, you need to pinch the tail. Everybody's all self-righteous pretending they don't pinch tails because it's unethical or whatever. They probably pinch them anyways and they don't even know it, or they're swinging it. If this tail's sitting at rest, it is sitting just below 28 inches, okay? But it's also not even on the board because of how we have it centered it. So it's very difficult to measure. So if we swing each lobe over, that bottom lobe is exactly 28. The other lobe is maybe almost 28 1/4. So, you know, you got to find the longest length so that it's duplicatable. If you pinch it really hard, it actually gets shorter. You can see how that is kind of shrinking away from the 28. So really you want to do a swing, let it sit at rest on the board to get the longest possible, just for consistency. So bump board, mouth closed, tail pinched or swung. You know, you don't want to pull on the tail, you just want to naturally swing it to find that longest position. And then if you had to add a step 4, it would be actually adding the length of your fish to your vague Facebook post. Like, instead of saying it's a Lake Leviathan or a new PB, or giving us your estimated weight and not even telling us the length that you measured, like, tell us how long the fish is. It's interesting, we care. And now, applying all that knowledge to the Uncut Angling versus Everybody tournament running March 23rd to 31st, you need to download the Fish Donkey app and pay just $10 to enter for a chance at all sorts of crazy prizes. And there's a couple big disclaimers I need to go over. The first one is, if the season is closed by you, you can't compete. Unless your local regulations allow some sort of catch and release season, it is illegal to handle, measure, photograph a fish caught out of season. And the second big disclaimer is, once you have the app on your phone, keep it open and ready to go for an entry. If you were to actually sign out of the app and then lose cell service, that'll be a problem when you try to enter your fish. So as long as you stay signed in, you will never be signed out of the app if your phone dies or something. Keep it open, keep it ready to go so you can quickly handle your fish, do your entry, and get it back in the water. And the final and possibly biggest disclaimer for this is that your photos and entries for this tournament must be taken on your phone within the app, not on your camera. You go into the app, and assuming you've got your profile and stuff set up already, you'll go into the Uncut Angling versus Everybody tournament. The leaderboard we can't look at yet because the tournament hasn't started, depending on when you're watching this video, but you can go to the practice entering a fish tournament, join that tournament, go to the leaderboard, there's an enter a fish button at the bottom, and then it'll take you right into the camera, and this is the camera that you need to use when you're doing your fish entries. It's very self-explanatory. There's a button for going to selfie mode or not selfie mode. There's a button for adjusting your flash, for video, for picture, and for saying, okay, I'm done. So we need 3 things for an entry. We want a picture of you holding the fish. If you're by yourself, you're probably just gonna have to do the best you can with a selfie, and all pictures are gonna be of the left side of the fish. That is the port side of the fish. You'll figure out the left side of the human body over here, the left side of a fish, same thing. I'm gonna go like this. It's not ideal because I can't get the whole fish in there, but it's the best I can do, and hopefully I'm fishing with someone. So there we go. Can't get the whole fish in there. I'm doing my best. Maybe I'll take a couple. Okay, got a couple. All these pictures are going into the photo album on my phone. And then the second picture we need is on the bump board. We already learned how we're gonna do that. So flip it around from selfie mode, mouth pressed against there. The tail will swing a little bit nicer on a live fish and stay in place. Either way, practice this in advance. Make sure that the numbers are gonna be clear. We can touch the screen to make sure it's focusing on the spot we want it to be focusing on. And let's snap a couple photos. Okay, there's one, there's another one. The mouth is clearly pressed closed against the bump. The tail is, I mean, it'll swing better with a live fish, but we'll snap a couple more pictures. Okay, so we've got it. We've taken like 8 pictures now. We've got all these pictures logged. The final element that we need is a video. So I'm gonna click to video mode. You can see 30-second countdown is starting up. It is important that we get the fish sitting on the board, and then we pull the fish off the board to reveal that nothing's funny about the board. There's no clipped parts of the board. If we're using the plastic Rapala board, you know, we can see that the hinges aren't stacked funny underneath. Everything's good and legit. We bring the fish over to the hole and we let the fish go when it's happy, and we can see that everything was good. So the video is only allowed to be 30 seconds, but if you ran out of time, you could take a second video with your entry. And you could also take media outside of the app and submit it by email if you wanted to supplement your entry. So we've gotten those elements. I'm gonna press the OK button, and then I'm going to look through all of the elements. I think it by default only selects the first 5 as I slide across here. So if I want to include more, I could include all of these elements. There we go, we got my video. I'm gonna include all these pictures, all these videos. If I wanted to deselect some, I could too. And the length, I didn't even notice how big it was, but I think it was 28. It doesn't really matter how long we say it is because the fish isn't verified now anyways, but we're doing 1/4 inch accuracy. So if it did hit 28 1/4, it's 28 1/4. If it's just under 28 1/4, but close, it's all the way down to 28. I'm gonna hit submit. I'm in airplane mode right now. So my entry is kind of sitting in limbo. If I hit this fish button in the top corner, I can see previous test entry has been received and all good. And then the one I just entered, that 28-inch walleye, is sitting here as in not received. So the moment that I do go into cell phone reception, that will automatically be uploaded, or I could also check on it by hitting that fish button, and I could click on it and then try to press the resubmit button, but it will push through. It is up to you to get into cell service and make sure your entry is submitted before any tournament deadlines come up. Otherwise though, just take very good clear pictures. If it's at night, practice your lighting where you can get the best lighting of your measuring board. It needs to be legit. I'm the judge, so you just have to convince me your fish is as long as you say it is. Otherwise, I have to disqualify you to keep this thing legit moving forward. If you have any other questions, you can email me. If you've got big spam blockers, just make sure you put my email address on your safe senders list because I will be sending updates throughout the week. Have fun, go catch a donkey, and do not expect to beat me.
How do you pay these guys?
Straight cash, homie.